The anomalous signal arrived on a Tuesday. At first, the scientists at the SETI facility in New Mexico thought it was a glitch. But after 3 days of verification, the truth became undeniable. Humanity was receiving its first confirmed communication from an alien civilization. Jack Harper stared at the decoded message displayed on the screen before him. At 42, the Air Force colonel had never expected to become Earth's military representative for first contact. His short brown hair had started graying at the temples, and the lines around his eyes deepened as he frowned at the translated text. "Are you sure this translation is accurate?" he asked. Olivia Green nodded, tucking a strand of auburn hair behind her ear. The diplomat had been pulled from her UN posting specifically for this mission. "As accurate as we can make it. They call themselves the Voltaren Empire and request a meeting at the edge of our solar system." "An empire," Jack said, tasting the word with distaste. "That doesn't sound promising." 6 weeks later, the modest Earth vessel Horizon approached the coordinates specified in the Voltaren message. The ship represented the best technology humans could muster, a nuclear-powered craft capable of reaching Saturn in record time. To Jack and Olivia, it felt woefully inadequate as the enormous Voltaren ship came into view. "My God," breathed Olivia, pressing her hand against the viewport. "It's the size of a small city." The alien vessel gleamed like polished obsidian against the starfield, its surface etched with glowing blue lines that pulsed rhythmically. Next to it, the Horizon looked like a rowboat beside an aircraft carrier. "Remember the protocol," Jack reminded the 5-person crew. "No sudden movements. No weapons. We're here to establish peaceful contact." The docking sequence went smoothly, surprisingly so, as if the alien ship had been designed to accommodate human technology. Jack led the way through the airlock, Olivia close behind him. The corridor beyond was dimly lit with the same blue glow they had observed from outside. "Hello," Olivia called, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "We come as representatives of Earth." A door slid open at the end of the corridor, revealing 3 tall figures. The Voltarans stood nearly 7 feet tall, with slender bodies covered in silver blue scales. Their 4 eyes, 2 large, 2 small, widened simultaneously as they regarded the humans. One of the aliens dropped a device it had been holding. It clattered to the floor as all 3 beings stepped backward. "What's happening?" Jack whispered to Olivia. "Is this normal first contact behavior?" Before she could answer, the lead Voltaren spoke, its voice translated through a device attached to its throat. "Impossible," it said. "You are ancients." Jack and Olivia exchanged confused glances. "We're humans," Olivia replied carefully. "From Earth." The Voltarans conferred among themselves in rapid clicks, and whistles their translation devices didn't convert. Finally, the leader addressed them again. "You resemble the ancients, those who came before, those who built the great machines and vanished thousands of cycles ago." The diplomatic meeting that followed was tense but illuminating. The Voltarans treated the humans with an unsettling mixture of fear and reverence. They explained that the ancients were thought to be myths, stories told to explain the mysterious technology found throughout the galaxy. Yet here stood creatures who matched the descriptions perfectly. As the meeting concluded, Jack noticed how the Voltaren leader kept glancing at its communication device. "They're reporting back to someone," he told Olivia quietly as they returned to the Horizon. "And I don't think they're telling them good news." "We've been invited to meet with their central authority," Olivia said, reviewing her notes. "But something feels off about all this." Jack nodded, looking back at the enormous alien ship through the viewport. "They weren't expecting us to look like their legends. Whatever these ancients were, we've just stumbled into something much bigger than first contact." The Horizon detached from the Voltaren vessel, beginning its journey back to Earth with news that would forever change humanity's understanding of its place in the universe. The return to Earth was met with celebration. Humanity had made first contact, and the Voltarans had not immediately attacked, a scenario many had feared. Jack Harper and Olivia Green were hailed as heroes. though they both felt uneasy about the strange reaction their appearance had provoked. 3 weeks after their return, a much larger Voltaren vessel entered Earth's orbit. This ship dwarfed even the first one they had encountered, its hull decorated with elaborate geometric patterns that pulsed with red and gold light. "That's not just a diplomatic vessel," Jack said, watching the live feed from space in the Pentagon Situation Room. "That's a warship." The room fell silent as the communication screen flickered to life. The Voltaren who appeared was unlike those they had met before. This one wore ornate armor and a crown-like structure that framed its 4 eyes. Behind it stood several others in military formation. "I am Emperor Zorn of the mighty Voltaren Empire," the alien announced, its translator converting the clicks and whistles into flat English. "I have come to address the deception." Olivia stepped forward. "Emperor Zorn, I am Diplomat Green. There has been no deception. We—" Silence. The Emperor's scales flared, showing iridescent patterns beneath. "Our scouts reported your resemblance to the ancients, but I did not believe until now. You have hidden among the stars, pretending to be primitive while hoarding the treasures of those who came before." The world leaders gathered in the room exchanged confused glances. The President of the United States leaned forward. "Emperor, we assure you we don't know what you're talking about. We haven't hidden anything." Emperor Zorn made a sound that the translator didn't capture, something between a laugh and a hiss. "The ancients created technology that allowed them to fold space, to create life, to harness the power of dying stars. They vanished 10,000 cycles ago, leaving only ruins and legends." The Emperor's 4 eyes narrowed. "And yet here you are, wearing their faces, claiming ignorance." A holographic image appeared in the center of the room, a carved stone relief showing beings that looked remarkably human standing among stars. "We have built our empire by recovering and reverse engineering ancient technology," Zorn continued. "We control 200 systems because of it. We will not allow you to keep the source of this power to yourselves." Jack stepped closer to Olivia. "They think we're hiding something we don't even know about," he whispered. The Emperor's announcement was clear and cold. "You will surrender all ancient artifacts, data repositories, and technologies within 30 standard cycles. Our scans indicate your planet holds significant ancient signatures. Your compliance is not optional." "And if we can't comply with what we don't possess?" the President asked. The Emperor's scales darkened. "Then we will take what is rightfully ours, and your species will serve the Empire as the others do." After the transmission ended, panic spread across Earth. Governments mobilized militaries, civilians prepared for the worst, and scientists scrambled to understand what ancient technology might look like. Jack found himself reassigned to a new task force, alongside Olivia, and a team of experts gathered to investigate the Emperor's claims. "We need to find whatever they're looking for before they come back," the President told them, "or prove we don't have it." In a dusty university office, archaeologist Daniel Wright watched the news with growing excitement. For years, he had studied similarities between ancient human civilizations, patterns that suggested outside influence. Now, he pulled out old research files and began making calls. "They're looking in the wrong direction," he told Jack and Olivia when they met. "The Voltarans think we're hiding ancient technology, but what if we're something else entirely?" Daniel spread photographs across the table, stone carvings from Egypt, Sumeria, and the Indus Valley, all showing similar symbols. "What if we're not hiding the ancients' technology?" Daniel's eyes gleamed. "What if we are the ancients?" Jack stared at the images, recognition dawning. And the Emperor just threatened to invade the home of the very beings his entire empire worships. "We have 30 days, Olivia said quietly. 30 days to discover a legacy we never knew was ours. Daniel Wright's theory sparked a global search for evidence of humanity's connection to the mysterious ancients. His small office became the center of a storm, with researchers and military personnel coming and going at all hours. "We need to work faster," Jack said, pacing across the room. 26 days remained until Emperor Zorn's deadline. The Voltarans are already sending scout ships into our atmosphere. Susan Kelly, a geneticist who had joined their team, looked up from her computer. Her blonde hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail, dark circles under her eyes showing the toll of the past 4 days. "I think I found something," she said, waving them over. "I've been comparing ancient human DNA samples with modern ones, looking for any unexplained genetic sequences." On her screen, 2 DNA strands rotated side by side. "This segment here," she pointed to a highlighted section, "doesn't code for anything we understand. It's been dismissed as junk DNA, but it's consistent across all human populations and hasn't changed in over 10,000 years. Could it be artificial?" Olivia asked. Susan nodded. "It looks designed, not evolved. And here's the strange part. It contains a repeating pattern that matches symbols found in ancient ruins worldwide." Daniel pulled out a worn leather journal. "Like these." He opened to a page showing rubbings from stones found in Egypt, Peru, and Japan, all bearing the same spiral pattern with 7 dots. "Exactly like those," Susan confirmed. Jack leaned over the symbols. "So what does it mean?" "It's a map," Daniel said simply. "I've thought so for years, but couldn't prove it. These symbols appear at sites where ancient legends speak of sky visitors or star gods." Olivia traced the pattern with her finger. "A map to what?" "Antarctica," Daniel replied. "All the symbols point there when aligned correctly." 2 days later, their team stood on the frozen Antarctic continent. Using ground-penetrating radar, they discovered what looked like an artificial structure buried under nearly a mile of ice. "This ice has been here for thousands of years," Susan said, checking the readings. "Whatever's down there predates human civilization as we know it." It took 3 more days and advanced drilling technology to reach the structure. What they found silenced even the most skeptical among them. A door made of an unknown black metal stood before them, covered in the same spiral pattern they had been tracking. In the center, 7 indentations the size of a human palm. "I think it's a genetic lock," Susan said, examining the door. "It's waiting for the right DNA." Jack stepped forward. "Let's find out if we're really the ancients." He placed his hand on the central indentation. For a moment, nothing happened. Then blue light spread from his palm, tracing the spiral patterns across the entire door. With a sound like a deep breath, the massive door slid open. Inside, they found a vast chamber filled with technology unlike anything humans had created. Holographic displays activated as they entered, showing star maps and diagrams of ships. "This is ancient technology," Olivia whispered in awe. "And it recognized us." A soft hum filled the room as a pillar of light appeared in the center, forming into a humanoid shape. Genetic verification confirmed, the light being spoke in a language none of them knew, yet all somehow understood. Descendants of Project Seedfall recognized. "I am Sentinel, guardian of this outpost." "What is this place?" Jack asked. "This is Recovery Station Alpha," Sentinel replied. "One of many sanctuaries established throughout this galaxy before the Great Departure." Susan moved closer. "We don't understand. Who are we? Who were the ancients?" "You are them," Sentinel said simply. "And they are you. When the void breach threatened to consume all life, the ancients scattered their civilization. Most fled to distant galaxies, but some remained behind, genetically modified to survive on Earth, while the memory of their technology was hidden within their DNA, to be awakened when needed." Sentinel gestured, and the room filled with star maps showing glowing points across the galaxy. "These are the other outposts containing ships, weapons, and knowledge. They will recognize your genetic signature as they recognized it here." Jack looked at the others, understanding dawning in their eyes. "We're not hiding ancient technology from the Voltarans," he said slowly. "We are the ancient technology," Susan finished. "And we've just woken up." The coordinates provided by Sentinel led the team to Mars. While Earth governments struggled to maintain secrecy about the Antarctic discovery, Jack, Olivia, Daniel, and Susan boarded a military spacecraft bound for the Red Planet. 18 days until the Emperor's deadline, Jack said as they approached Mars' orbit. And we're chasing ancient alien technology that may not even exist. Olivia studied the holographic display Sentinel had provided. According to this, there should be a massive facility beneath the Valles Marineris Canyon system. The landing was rough but successful. As they stepped onto the rusty Martian soil, their specialized suits protecting them from a harsh environment, Susan's scanner began to beep rapidly. "I'm picking up energy readings," she said, adjusting the device. "Coming from about 2 kilometers east, deep underground." They followed the signal to what appeared to be an ordinary cliff face. Daniel ran his gloved hand over the rock, wiping away dust to reveal familiar spiral patterns. "Same design as Antarctica," he confirmed. "But I don't see any entrance." Jack stepped forward and pressed his palm against the central spiral. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the ground beneath them shuddered. "Everyone back," he shouted as a section of the cliff face began to recede, revealing a dark passage sloping downward. Their helmet lights illuminated a corridor that showed no signs of age despite having been sealed for millennia. As they descended deeper, the passage widened until they emerged onto a platform overlooking an enormous underground cavern. "My God," Daniel whispered. Below them stretched a vast shipyard. Dozens of vessels in various sizes rested in cradles of light, their sleek hulls gleaming even after thousands of years. Automated systems moved silently around the ships, maintaining them as if their pilots had just stepped away for a moment. "They were preparing for something," Olivia said, her voice filled with awe. "A war, an evacuation." A familiar pillar of light formed before them, taking the shape of Sentinel. "The ancient fleet," the AI announced, "created to defend against the Void Breach. When the decision was made to flee beyond the galactic rim, these vessels were left behind, preserved until the seedlings matured." "Seedlings," Susan repeated. "You mean us?" Humanity was designed to evolve naturally, with hidden genetic keys that would activate only when needed, Sentinel explained. "Your arrival here has triggered the awakening sequence." The lights throughout the facility brightened. The ships below began to pulse with inner light, systems coming online after their long dormancy. "Can these ships fly?" Jack asked, his military mind already calculating possibilities. "They require pilots with the ancient genetic markers," Sentinel replied. "Your species has now reached sufficient technological understanding to operate them, though at reduced capacity initially." Sentinel guided them to the largest vessel in the center of the cavern. Unlike the others, which resembled streamlined arrowheads, this ship was broader, clearly a command vessel. "The Daybreak," Sentinel said, "flagship of the defensive fleet." As they approached the massive ship, a ramp descended to meet them. Inside, they found a bridge filled with control stations similar to the Antarctic facility, but far more extensive. Jack placed his hand on what appeared to be the captain's station. The ship responded immediately, holographic displays springing to life around him. "It recognizes me," he said in disbelief. "It recognizes what you are," Sentinel corrected. "The genetic legacy of its creators." Olivia received an urgent communication from Earth. "Voltaren scout ships have entered the atmosphere," she reported, her face pale behind her helmet visor. "They're searching for ancient technology signatures." "Then they'll find this place soon enough," Jack said grimly. "How quickly can we learn to fly these ships?" "The knowledge is within you," Sentinel replied. "The genetic keys do more than grant access. They unlock inherited memory." As if to demonstrate, Jack found his hands moving across the controls with unexpected confidence. The ship hummed around them, systems activating one by one. "We need to get back to Earth," he said, surprised by his own certainty. "And we need to bring help." Above them, through the rocky ceiling of Mars, Voltaren detection systems had already registered a power surge unlike anything they had encountered before. "They're not going to believe us without proof," Jack said as their shuttle approached Earth. The Antarctic discovery had been classified at the highest level, but rumors were spreading. 17 scout ships from the Voltaren Empire now orbited Earth, their presence a constant reminder of the approaching deadline. Upon landing, they were immediately escorted to the Pentagon's underground command center. Military leaders from around the world had gathered, their faces grim. Colonel Harper, General Alan Mills greeted Jack with a firm handshake. "I hope you've brought us something useful. The Volterans have started scanning urban centers." Jack placed a small device on the conference table, a holographic projector from the Martian shipyard. "We found what they're looking for, and a whole lot more." The projector activated, showing detailed images of the ancient fleet. Murmurs filled the room as military officials leaned forward to study the vessels. "Are these operational?" asked Admiral Patricia Reed. "Yes," Olivia replied. "But there's a catch. They respond only to human DNA, specifically the markers we all carry from our ancient ancestors." General Mills shook his head. "Even if what you're saying is true, we have 12 days before the Emperor returns. We can't learn to operate an alien fleet in that time." "We don't have to learn," Susan explained. "The knowledge is encoded in our genetics. Once activated, it's like remembering something you always knew." Skepticism filled the room. Despite the evidence they presented, the idea seemed too fantastic. Colonel Nancy Wilson, commander of the Air Force's Experimental Aircraft Division, had remained silent until now. She stood up, her voice cutting through the debate. "I've known Jack Harper for 15 years, she said firmly. "If he says these ships will fly for us, I believe him. The question isn't whether this is possible. It's whether we have enough pilots ready to take the risk." Jack gave her a grateful nod. "We need volunteers. People willing to travel to Mars and connect with technology beyond anything we've created." "I'll go," Nancy said without hesitation. "And I know 50 pilots who would follow." General Mills sighed heavily. "This goes against every protocol we have, but we're out of conventional options." He looked at Jack. "You have 72 hours to assemble your crew and return to Mars. After that, we need a defensive capability, or we'll have to consider the Emperor's terms." 3 days later, a group of 63 volunteers stood in the Martian shipyard. Pilots, engineers, and scientists from a dozen nations, all responding to a call they didn't fully understand. "Each of you will be paired with a vessel," Jack explained, standing before them in the cavernous space. "The connection is difficult to describe. You'll know when it happens." Nancy Wilson stepped forward first, approaching a sleek interceptor. As she placed her hand on the hull, the ship's surface rippled like water, and lights flared along its length. One by one, the others found their ships. Not everyone formed a connection. Some walked from vessel to vessel until finding one that responded to their touch. A few couldn't bond with any ship at all. "Genetic variants," Susan explained. "Some of us carry stronger ancient markers than others." By the 10th day before the deadline, 47 ships had been successfully paired with pilots. Training consisted of neural connection sessions guided by Sentinel, where the inherited memories were drawn to the surface. Jack stood on the bridge of the Daybreak, watching as his small fleet prepared for departure. Olivia worked beside him, coordinating with Earth governments. "Voltaren activity is increasing," she reported. "They've detected our launches to Mars and are getting suspicious." A communication alert flashed on the main display. "Emergency transmission from Earth," the ship's system announced. The screen showed General Mills, his expression grave. "The Voltaren invasion force has arrived early. 50 warships just appeared in orbit. They're demanding immediate surrender of all ancient technology." Jack looked around at his crew. Humans operating technology created by their forgotten ancestors, preparing to face an empire that had spent millennia stealing and corrupting that same legacy. "Tell Earth governments to stall them," he ordered. "We're launching now." The Daybreak rose from its cradle, the massive ship humming with power as systems that had lain dormant for thousands of years came fully online. Around it, the smaller vessels of the fledgling fleet moved into formation. "Set course for Earth," Jack commanded. "Let's show the Emperor what happens when you threaten the children of the ancients." The ancient fleet emerged from Mars orbit in perfect formation. Despite having only days of training, the human pilots moved with surprising coordination, their genetic memory guiding them through maneuvers that should have taken years to master. "Approaching Earth orbit in 5 minutes," reported Nancy Wilson from her interceptor. "Voltaren ships detected on long-range scanners." Jack stood on the Daybreak's bridge, watching the tactical display as it showed 50 Voltaren warships surrounding Earth. The enemy vessels were massive, bristling with weapons, their hulls decorated with the red and gold markings of the Emperor's personal fleet. "They haven't detected us yet," Olivia noted. "Our ships don't register on their scanners the same way Earth technology does." Jack nodded. "Let's use that advantage. Nancy, take your squadron and approach from behind the moon. Susan, coordinate with the science vessels to analyze their defensive capabilities." As the ancient fleet closed in, Emperor Zorn's flagship dominated the view screen, a behemoth nearly twice the size of the Daybreak, shaped like a spiked crescent with a glowing central core. "The Emperor is broadcasting to Earth again," Olivia reported, activating the communication feed. Emperor Zorn's 4 eyes gleamed with triumph as his message played throughout the Daybreak. "Your time has expired. We detect ancient energy signatures on your world and orbiting your 4th planet. Surrender these technologies immediately or face planetary bombardment." Jack took a deep breath. "Open a channel to the Emperor's ship." The bridge crew worked quickly, and soon the Emperor's startled face appeared on the main screen. "This is Colonel Jack Harper of Earth, commanding the Daybreak. We are not surrendering anything." The Emperor's scales flared in anger. "You dare to challenge the might of the Voltaren Empire. Your primitive vessels cannot hope to." He stopped mid-sentence as the tactical officer whispered something in his ear. The Emperor's 4 eyes widened in shock. "Impossible," he hissed. "Those are ancient warships." "Not replicas," Jack confirmed. "The real thing. Your empire was built on scavenged technology you barely understand. We didn't hide ancient artifacts from you, Emperor Zorn. We are the ancients." The Emperor's scales paled to a sickly gray. "Lies. The ancients vanished 10,000 cycles ago." "Some left," Jack agreed. "Others stayed behind, became us. And now we've awakened to find you threatening our homeworld with our own stolen technology." As if to emphasize his point, the full ancient fleet suddenly decloaked around the Voltaren ships, having moved into position while the Emperor was distracted. "Your ships may be bigger," Jack continued, "but ours are the originals, not the copies. Stand down and withdraw from Earth space." Emperor Zorn hissed something untranslatable, then barked orders to his crew. Within moments, Voltaren weapons powered up across their fleet. "They're targeting major cities," Susan reported, her fingers flying across her console. Jack's jaw tightened. "Nancy, show them what ancient interceptors can do." Nancy's squadron streaked forward, their smaller vessels moving with impossible speed. They released pulses of blue energy that disabled the weapons systems on 3 Voltaren ships before the enemy could even track them. "Warning shot," Jack told the Emperor. "The next one won't be so gentle." On the view screen, alarms blared across the Emperor's bridge. Officers reported multiple systems failures as the ancient technology responded to countermeasures embedded millennia ago. "Your ships were designed with safeguards against misuse," Jack explained. "We've just activated them." Emperor Zorn stood frozen, his empire's greatest fleet suddenly vulnerable. Then, to everyone's surprise, he began to laugh, a clicking, whistling sound that the translators struggled to process. "Magnificent," he finally said. "The legends were true. The ancients did plan their return." His 4 eyes focused intently on Jack. "But you are few, and the empire is vast. Do you think 40 ships can stand against the 10,000 we have built from your ancestors' designs? We don't need to, Jack replied calmly. Your ships are still ancient technology at their core. And now that we've awakened, we can shut them all down with a single command. For the first time, genuine fear showed in the Emperor's eyes. You would not dare. Return to your territory, Jack said firmly. Leave Earth and all human colonies alone. In exchange, we won't reclaim what you've stolen. Yet. The Emperor's flagship slowly turned away from Earth, followed by the rest of the Voltaren fleet. This is not over, Zorn promised. The Empire will not surrender its power so easily. No, Jack agreed as the enemy ships retreated. It's just beginning. 3 months after the confrontation with Emperor Zorn, humanity had undergone a transformation unlike anything in recorded history. Ancient outposts had been discovered on every continent, each containing technology and knowledge that accelerated human development by centuries overnight. Jack Harper stood on the observation deck of the Daybreak, watching Earth grow smaller as the flagship led a diplomatic mission deeper into space. Beside him, Olivia adjusted the formal uniform she now wore as Earth's ambassador to the stars. Reports from our advanced scouts are coming in, she said, reviewing her tablet. The Voltaren Empire is in turmoil. At least 7 systems have declared independence since word spread about our encounter with Zorn. Jack nodded. The Emperor built his power on fear and stolen technology. Once his subjects learned the truth, that foundation started crumbling. Susan Kelly joined them, excitement evident in her voice. You need to see this. She activated a holographic display showing a star system with 3 habitable planets. We've made contact with the Raylari. They've been under Voltaren control for over 1,000 years, mining ancient artifacts for the Empire. And now, Olivia asked. They're requesting a meeting, Susan replied, along with representatives from 4 other subjugated species. The journey to the neutral meeting point took 2 weeks. The location, an abandoned space station of ancient design orbiting a gas giant, had been suggested by the Raylari. As the Daybreak approached, 5 other vessels converged from different directions. The meeting chamber inside the station activated as the delegates entered, lighting up with the same blue glow they had come to associate with ancient technology. Jack, Olivia, and Susan represented Earth, while Nancy commanded the security detail. The first delegates to arrive were the Raylari, slender beings with transparent skin through which multicolored organs could be seen pulsing with life. They bowed deeply when they saw the humans. The children of the creators, their leader said in a melodious voice. We had almost lost hope. One by one, the other delegations arrived. The insectoid Vox, the crystalline Luminar, the aquatic Melosians in their water-filled suits, and the plant-like Thraxi whose flowering heads changed colors with their emotions. For centuries, we have preserved what we could of ancient knowledge, the Thraxi representative explained, their head blooms turning a reverent blue. The Voltarans forced us to surrender artifacts, but we kept the most important secrets hidden. The Luminar delegate stepped forward, crystal facets catching the light. We believed the prophecy that the creators would return when the galaxy needed them most. Now you are here, just as the Empire prepares its greatest weapon. Jack exchanged glances with Olivia. What weapon? The Melosian bubbled anxiously in her water suit. They call it the Void Engine. Constructed from corrupted ancient technology, designed to tear open space itself, the Emperor plans to unleash it against any who oppose him, including Earth, Susan concluded grimly. The Raylari leader's skin rippled with determination, not alone. Together. Over the next hours, a plan formed. Each species had preserved different pieces of ancient knowledge. The Raylari understood navigation systems, the Vox had mastered weapons technology, the Luminar knew communication networks, the Melosians had preserved biological sciences, and the Thraxi could activate ancient planetary defenses. An alliance, Olivia proposed formally, based not on conquest, like the Empire, but on cooperation and shared heritage. The Ancient Alliance. The Vox representative clicked in agreement, mandibles moving excitedly. As the meeting concluded, Jack activated a holographic map showing the full extent of the galaxy. Thousands of points of light appeared, ancient outposts, shipyards, and research stations scattered across space. Together, we can reactivate them all, he said, not to rebuild the past, but to create a better future. The delegates placed their hands, and in some cases, appendages, on the central table. The ancient technology responded, recognizing the genetic markers each species carried from the original creators. Back on the daybreak, Jack watched as communication signals spread across the galaxy, carrying news of the Alliance to every world suffering under the Empire's rule. The Emperor wanted ancient technology, he said quietly. Instead, he got ancient justice. Olivia smiled. And now the real work begins. As if in response, dozens of ships appeared in the distance, vessels of every shape and design, from worlds throughout the galaxy, coming to join the fledgling alliance. "Look at that," Susan whispered in awe. "The future," Jack replied, watching the gathering fleet. "And this time, we're not going anywhere."